Hey, what's up? And welcome in to Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for downloading the podcast and checking us out on YouTube, youtube.com. Look for Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Please like, share, subscribe, comment to everything we do on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood, presented by the Advantage Dealer Group. Why does buying a car feel like Game 7 in overtime? You know, it shouldn't. That's why I roll with Advantage Dealer Group. Toyota, Chevy, Acura, Cadillac, Buick, GMC. Whatever you're driving, they got options. And here's the key. They don't play games. There's no mystery math. There's no marathon sessions, no good cop, bad cop routine. Just real numbers, straight answers, and a team that understands that you got a budget and you've got a schedule. Imagine that. Respect. So wherever you are in the Chicagoland area, start your search with Advantage. Find your Advantage at the Advantage Dealer Group. Just Google search Advantage Dealer Group, and boom, you're right there. I use Advantage. They are partners with us on the Cap and J Hood Morning Show on ESPN Chicago, and they're partners with us here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. So make sure you check out the Advantage Dealer Group. Boom, there it is again, Advantage Dealer Group. Let's talk baseball. I cannot wait. The baseball season's got me excited. You know why? Because I don't know what's going to happen next year. If we're going to have baseball next year, if there's going to be a lockout or a strike, I have no idea. All I know is that it's always good to be able to check in on baseball throughout the summer. If you're not watching every game, you get it. But it pops up on your phone. There's highlights. It's always on your social media. And I think it's going to be very interesting this upcoming season for Major League Baseball. And we're going to talk to a friend of the program, Russ Dorsey. He's got a brand new podcast. I want you to be able to support his new podcast. And, of course, he's on Yahoo Sports, as well as Apple TV as a Major League Baseball insider. Chicago's own Russ Dorsey joins us next right here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Let's talk some baseball. Baseball. One of the more exciting plays in baseball is the relay. You know why? Because you never know what's going to happen from the relay. The relay from the outfielder to the infielder, it could be an out, it could be safe, it could be something wild. You never know. And that's why you got to check out The Relay, the new podcast available right now on YouTube, youtube.com. Look for The Relay. Hit subscribe because you know who the host of The Relay is? That man right there, Russ Dorsey. He's with us here Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Sir, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for your time.
Oh, of course, Hoodie. What's going on? How are we doing?
Well, I'm just excited about the new podcast that you have, The Relay, because as I was just telling my audience, who knows what happens with The Relay? Who knows? On the other side of that, you never know where that ball is going to go. And that is the unpredictability of your podcast. It's Absolutely. Information, but you never know what direction it's going to go in.
You don't know what direction Russ is going to go in. That's why he's talking, man. Like, you can talk about a million things with me. But, yeah, man, it's one of my favorite plays in baseball, a well-executed relay. It's how I came up with the name. And, you know, something we were just talking about before we jumped on here. Like, I wanted to – despite all the other stuff that I do, have something and have a podcast where people can find Russ Dorsey baseball information and knowledge. And it was something for a long time, Hoodie, that I didn't want to do. Because like yourself, when you talk for a living, you don't want to talk again, right? Like, I'm tired of talking. Despite what people might think, like, I don't want to talk all day, every day. But it was one of those things where the timing was right and it felt like the right time to do a baseball podcast and give it to the people.
And also with your own podcast, you don't have someone counting you down and you're on Apple TV. You don't have people telling you how short or how long you can go because it's your podcast. You go as long as or short as you want by giving us the information that we need as baseball fans.
And I think you get this part too, because you do that long enough. You can talk and say, yeah, I need to probably wrap this up. People probably falling asleep out there. Let me go ahead and change topics or in the podcast. But yeah, like it gives you more time to talk about the things that I might not have more than 30 minutes to talk about on, you know, an Apple TV or an MLB network, or if I'm doing radio hits, like you only get so much time before they got to wrap you up. And so on The Relay with Russ Dorsey, have some of those extended conversations, you know, throughout the course of baseball season, off season, that, you know, people want to have, and people look to me for baseball information, and I want to provide that for them.
Because I don't know what tomorrow brings for Major League Baseball after this season, I'm going to walk around with a baseball IV in my arm. 162 plus playoffs. It started with the World Baseball Classic and spring training, and then all the way through. I mean, this season is so important for baseball in a big way, is it not?
It is. It is. And I actually talked about this on the podcast today. Baseball is in such a great place. And sometimes you wouldn't think that from the way we talk about what's to come at the end of this season. And I think starting from the postseason last year, the World Series with the Dodgers and the Blue Jays, that was fantastic. Like wire to wire, 7 games, extra innings in the 7th game, drama, exactly what you want. You have the US against Canada, that aspect of it. You have LA, you have Toronto, big time players in it. Starting from there, Hoodie, and just like continuing through the offseason, that was exciting. And you saw movement, and you saw trades, and you saw free agent signings, and you saw big time deals. And then getting into spring training and the World Baseball Classic and how great that was, and the viewership and numbers that come out from that of 10 million people, Hoodie, watch games that quote unquote didn't matter. But you saw how much it mattered to different countries around the globe. And so going into baseball season this year, you should walk around with the at the hospital, it rolls around with
Yes.
your baseball IV. You just walk around down the street with that, because there is some fantastic things going on in baseball, from the star power that we have in Major League Baseball right now, with players that are generational Hall of Fame talents in Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge and Paul Skeens and Tarek Skubal. Like, there are absolute monsters out there in their prime, and that's been great for the product. The product, as opposed to a league like the NBA, is in a great place in Major League Baseball. You have new brand partners involved on the network side, and NBC doing Sunday Night Baseball now. You have Netflix now. You're getting the streamers involved, and Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV Plus, where you can find your boy every Friday throughout baseball season. You still have that side of it too. ESPN is still involved, even though they don't have Sunday Night Baseball anymore. They're still going to have games weekly throughout the season. Turner and the TNT folks over there. So baseball's in a really good spot, and because of that, I think that's why the MLBPA and the owners need to figure this thing out, because it would be to a detriment of the sport itself to have an extended lockout. But it's going to take some work to get there.
Damn. I don't know if anyone realized this or not, but I think we realize it. Baseball turned into football with all of these different platforms. Yep. It's what football is. Growing up, football for me was on 2 channels. Ask your dad about it. The 2 channels. It was on Channel 2 and Channel 5. It was the NFC package was on CBS, and the AFC package was on NBC, and that was it. That's all you had for the week. Then it grew out to Sunday Night Football, and now it's on all these different platforms, and now it's on every network, the NFL. Along with streaming platforms. It's on Facebook. It's in the fillings of your teeth. It's everywhere, football, right? Yeah. But now look at baseball. Look at them. Look how they've grown up. I equate baseball to a school in which the principal may not be popular, but you just love hanging out at the school because you got friends. So you may not be into the commissioner of baseball, the principal. It's just a tin can. It doesn't mean anything. That championship. That's okay, Mr. Principal. We still love being in school. We love being with our classmates. And I think that's how baseball fans feel. No matter issues around the sport, they love baseball because it's growing, and we see the numbers behind it.
Yeah, growth in terms of viewership. And I do think having more partners involved and you and I have been in media for a while, so we understand this, like having more partners involved helps globalization and growth, especially when you're talking about a global sport like baseball is, where the biggest player, the number one player in the sport is Japanese, right? And the influx of the Pacific Rim and Asia that's come in the last couple of years since Shohei came over, but then became the best player in the world. It's kind of 10x, and you see the marketing revenue, the sponsor dollars that he brings in by himself, and the fact that the Dodgers have made money hand over fist, where they've paid the $700 million they paid him already, because the advertising will not stop. And I tell people all the time, what Shohei is to the sport of baseball is if you made Ken Griffey Jr., who was the most marketable player of his time. And it was like the first time we got to see that in baseball. I was like, man, this dude is cool. And every brand wants to be a part of him. It's like if you take Junior and made him a global superstar. Like Junior was a superstar and a baseball superstar and a media darling. But then you add the global factor to that, which is Shohei and, you know, being born internationally. And it's Porsche, it's Beats by Dre, it's Apple, it's Hugo Boss, like all of these major brands that don't have anything to do with baseball are like, yeah, that dude, yeah, we want to partner with him. And so I think it's good for the sport that you're kind of getting different reach from different branches. But I also think that it's important that fans feel like, hey, the game is still for me. And there are some things that the league has to figure out in terms of local rights. And we've had some of those things here in town with, you know, Marquee and Chicago Sports Network over the last couple of years. Just like people say, when I get home, I just want to be able to turn the game on. Like, can I? And I think you have a lot of fan bases around Major League Baseball that today, a couple of days away from opening day, are like, I don't know what channel my team's going to be on in my hometown. And so these are things that are going to have to come up over the next couple of years because baseball, all their media rights are going to be up in 3 years, just like the NBA just had, where you can now divvy it up a million different ways if you want to, where if you want it, you get a game. Like Oprah, you get a game, you get a game, you get a game. It's going to be like that, but it's going to be really important for a sport like baseball that is so unique because it's every day. It's so longer than all the other sports where people in their hometown are going to be able to watch the Cubs or the White Sox or the Yankees or the Texas Rangers or the Kansas City Royals, wherever they are. Because right now, because the RSN model has kind of very much deteriorated, there needs to be a place where that is kind of based and housed.
There it is, the relay with Russ Dorsey, available now wherever you get your podcast, and make sure you check it out on YouTube, youtube.com. I want to get your album, by the way. Look at that. It looks like an album cover, the relay.
It does. And shout out to my graphic designer, Greg, for bodying the logo, man. Like, he did a great job. I said, hey, man, the concept is baseball, but make it modern, sleek, and cool. And he was like, I got you. And it took a couple weeks, hit me back and was like, hey, man, let me know what you think about this. And I'm like, wow, like, you did exactly what I needed you to do. And people have been extremely supportive here in the first couple of weeks of the podcast since the launch. And I'm really grateful for people for supporting me as I start this new kind of journey. And because, listen, man, you have a podcast, like when you do something on your own for the first time, it sounds cool to be like, oh, I got my own thing, and I'm gonna do it. And it's just like, man, are people gonna like this? Did I talk long enough? Did I talk too long? Like, do I put this out? Does it look good? And sometimes you just have to say, you know what? I'm gonna record. I know the content's there. I'm gonna put it out, and we'll go from there. And so people have been awesome here, and I'm really grateful for that. And it helps me, you know, want to continue to put more content out.
What can the baseball learn from the World Baseball Classic, if anything? Is it just two separate entities, or is there anything that Major League Baseball could look at and say, man, we need to bottle some of that and bring it over here?
Yeah, that's a good question, Hoodie, because I think the weird, and maybe not weird, the interesting thing to me is it's not like this is a different group of players that play in the WBC. Like, a lot of those dudes play in the big leagues.
Yes.
But there is a different vibe. And I do think because the games don't count towards record or towards the World Series, guys play a little freer, and you get that country camaraderie that you get in an Olympics or a World Cup, which I would probably compare it to more. Because sometimes when people get weird, like, oh, it's not the Olympics. All right, fine. Let's compare it to the World Cup, where you get countries involved. And I knew Venezuelans, and I knew Dominicans, and I knew people from Puerto Rico who are just like, yo, I don't watch baseball, but the Dominican Republic is in it. I'm Dominican. I'm in. Like, I want Dominican to be everybody. Or even after when, you know, Venezuela was playing Team USA, after Dominican Republic got knocked out, it was like, yo, Latinos are together, I'm going for Venezuela. And I think that's really cool. And I think that's the best part about it is that people, it's connected people. To your question though, the thing that baseball can bottle up from that is embracing culture more. And I think baseball has attempted to do that over the last, we'll call it 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think there's always going to be this natural friction from the excitement that we saw for the game in the World Baseball Classic and then what happens once you get to just regular standard in Major League Baseball. And I don't necessarily know a great answer for how you do it. And like bat flips have, really grown popular over the last 4, 5, 6 years or so. And so that's added some flair, some excitement. But I don't know if you'll ever truly get what you see in the World Baseball Classic in Major League Baseball regularly. You can if you go down to Dominican Republic for a Winter League game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think you'll always have a hard time with people feeling like it's quote unquote okay during Major League Baseball games.
So my Yankee fan friends believe that they're going to win the World Series every year. And so with this year, Garrett Cole is back. Then I see Aaron Judge, and I watch Aaron Judge in World Baseball Classic, and I said, it's Shohei by himself as the guy, and Aaron Judge should be in that same photograph. And I just watched him. Russ, it was tough, man. It was tough in key spots for Aaron Judge. Nothing against him as a ball player, but in those key spots, you just thought he'd be able to connect a little more, especially late in that World Baseball Classic. Wouldn't see that. So I'm just wondering, where do you place the Yankees amongst the best in baseball for 2026? Can they actually knock it down and win this year?
Here's my thing with Aaron Judge, and that sounds like I know a lot of Yankees fans too, and they get on Aaron Judge, and sometimes I'm just like, I don't know if y'all realize just how good this dude is. Mm-hmm. Like, this dude has turned himself into right-handed Barry Bonds for the better part of the last 5 years, where every season, Hoodie, that he's been healthy, he's hit at least 50 home runs. You know, like there's not too many guys that we can say that about. Like the year he didn't have a full season, he still hit 40 home runs. And that guy is an extraordinary athlete. And it's not just slug. Like he hit 50 homers last year and hit over 330. Like this is a truly great hitter in Aaron Judge. And I think to me, that guy is outstanding and he's phenomenal. And as long as he's healthy, the Yankees have an opportunity to get to the World Series. Now, I think the one thing with the Yankees is basically they just said, we're going to run it back, right? We're going to run it back and we get guys healthy and we're going to go out there and we feel like we can compete with the Toronto Blue Jays, who made it all the way to the World Series. And we can compete with the Boston Red Sox, who we feel like we're a better team than. And they might be. Like when they get Garrett Cole healthy and firing on all cylinders, and you get Carlos Rodon back, with Max Fried in that rotation, like they can look on paper and say, man, we have a pretty damn good team. It's just, for me, it feels like their offense, if Aaron Judge isn't hitting and you have to rely on somebody else, where are the Yankees going to be? Because it always feels like they're one Aaron Judge slump or injury away from saying, oh, shoot, like, what are we going to do? And somebody has to be the guy, especially since Juan Soto left in free agency a couple of years ago. You need somebody else who can be the guy in that lineup, not named Judge. And is that Jazz Chisholm Jr., right? Is that the guy? Is it Giancarlo Stanton, who you're just kind of saying, if you're the Yankees, hey, can you make it through 115 games, right? Can you give us 400 ABs and make it to the postseason where he's been a phenomenal player in his career once you get to October? Does Austin Wells develop into the guy that you saw a little bit into the World Baseball Classic? That's, I think, where the Yankees are right now. Does Ben Rice, continue his development into being an offensive force? It just feels like they're hoping that a healthy starting rotation plus having the best hitter in the world carries them. And many times it does, but you just never know.
I look forward to my sojourn out to the West Coast in May into June. Got to check out the Padres, but I also want to check out the Dodgers because in those Dodger dogs, they got crack in them, so I just need my crack.
You a fan, Hoodie?
Are
you a fan of the Dodger dog?
It's pretty good, man. It's pretty good. It's not, I mean, the Chicago dog is top notch because of what's put on the dog. But it was I think I told you last year was my first time going to Dodger Stadium. After all these years, saw Dodgers Diamondbacks, and I said, well, let me try this. And I'm like, you know what? Pretty good. Maybe it's because I sat in 2 hours of traffic, and if everything
like anything you put in front of me, I would have. Right.
That could be two.
I was sitting on Vince Scully Drive and then make that long trek to the ballpark. I get you. I guess when I've had them, they might not be the good ones that they give the fans who actually pay for them. It's always the ones in the press box.
Yes.
They got a little cold, and I'm like, you know what? I don't see that. So I'll have to go back because I'm going to be there in late April for Cubs Dodgers. And I will buy one at the ballpark, and then I'll come back and give you my review.
In the concession stand now. Leave the press box. Go down.
Yeah, no, I will go and I will go down and I will actually buy a Dodger dog that I have to pay for and like get it hot, like God intended. Not the cold ones that just be up there and the bread be stale. It's like y'all just phoned it in.
I think that Dodgers Phillies. So that should be a good one. So I'm gonna go check that out.
One.
Yeah, so we're gonna check that out, and I'm gonna have some Dodger dogs. And I would ask you, if I asked you, Russ Dorsey, Dodgers or the field to win it all, you'd say,
"Oh man, that's a great question, Hoodie." Because in my World Series matchup prediction is I think we get a do-over of Dodgers and Blue Jays. I really do, because I think those are the two best teams in Major League Baseball, and they were the two best teams in their respective leagues last year. And the one thing with the Dodgers, they've won back-to-back World Series titles, and they didn't have a closer for either of them. And now they have arguably the best closer in Major League Baseball in Edwin Diaz. Oh, and they added Kyle Tucker, who was the best free agent available on the position player side. They are going to be a tough out. And the one thing with the Dodgers, they are a very high variance team because of that starting rotation that is immensely talented, but those guys get banged up, right? With Blake Snell, who's not even going to be in the rotation to start the season as they slow play him. And you have Shohei's going to be a starter full-time again this season. And Shohei is a guy who's had some trouble staying healthy over full seasons. We've seen what he does offensively, and like you were talking about ungodly numbers at the plate, but where does that, with him pitching full time, where does that put his offense? Roki Sasaki, who, it's so interesting to me, if he was on any other rotation in baseball, his development or lack thereof would be a huge storyline. But because he pitches for the Dodgers, he can kind of drift in the background and like not have to develop at the pace that he might on another team. And then you have Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who was fantastic in the World Series and proved that he was one of the best pitchers in the world, one of the best 4 or 5 pitchers in the world last year, and getting 3 wins in the World Series, pitching in back-to-back games in Game 6 and Game 7 and closing out Game 7. But like, it only takes one injury, Hoodie. And like, that's the thing about baseball, and you don't root for that to happen. You don't want that to happen. You want everybody to be at full strength. But to get through 162 is a grind. And to get through that month of October is also a grind. So I think if I had to pick Dodgers or the field, it is very hard for me to pick against the Dodgers as of right now. But as somebody who's just not a fan and just wants to see the best baseball, I feel like I got to watch the best baseball in October, and then I got to watch the 2 best teams in baseball go head to head all 7 games, and then it wasn't decided after 9 innings in the 7th game. We had to get extra innings to determine that they were the best team, and I felt like the Dodgers were the best team last year. Like if the Blue Jays ended up winning that game, like they should have, I would have said the Blue Jays were the better team. But until somebody knocks them off, the Dodgers are that team for me.
Your dad's a Sox fan, isn't he?
He is big time Sox fan. Shout out to my dad.
That hat's here. I put that out there for him. I think he's following me now. I think he's following me. Yeah.
My parents are very active on the old socials, and sometimes I love it, and sometimes I don't. But yeah, they do it for all the right reasons.
He's checking me out now. He's making sure that I'm on the straight and narrow. So I noticed that. I was like, oh, a Dorsey. Oh, I know who that is.
I think his Avi in his Twitter is a Sox hat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what news do you have for him about the Chicago Whites? I'm sure he's asking you. I just did a podcast and they asked me the win total. I said, well, it smells around late 60s, maybe 70 for the Sox. But I said, it's hard to win when you don't have quality pitching. But I'm optimistic about some of the youth on that team. I think that it's funny how Chris Getz is getting this done with coupons. He's shopping at the Aldi's at the bottom shelf, man, because he doesn't have the money to go to the Whole Foods. So he's doing the best he can at Aldi's, getting quality.
Listen, sometimes you got to do the best you can.
That
is the secret. You got to do the best you can. I think the thing with the Sox, and I've told my dad this all offseason, I think they did a nice job with the means that they had to add to their roster. And I think their goal should be the 2025 Miami Marlins. And that might sound like a knock, but I know because it's the Marlins, people probably didn't pay attention, but the Marlins won 79 games last year. They played games that mattered in September, and they played spoiler. They were actually the team that the last weekend of the season, they knocked the New York Mets out of postseason contention. So if you're the Chicago White Sox, that should be your goal. I think they've gotten a lot right in terms of building a culture within that clubhouse. A lot of those young guys have gotten their experience, taken their lumps together. Many of them have played in the minor leagues together and now play on the big league level together. You bring in real veteran players, a guy like Austin Hayes that should, be play a role and help out offensively. The injury to Kyle Teal hurts, right? Like you don't want to start your season with your maybe most exciting offensive player being out for 4 to 6 weeks. But at the same time, if I'm the White Sox, be conservative with it, because in April in Chicago, we're going to have some 40-degree days. And when it comes to soft tissue injuries, there's no reason to try to get out there on a 40-degree wet and drippy and maybe even some flurry day and try to have him back there squatting behind the plate. And then have him take his time, rehab, maybe go out to Arizona where it's warm, and then get him back healthy for the rest of the season. And you have Edgar Carroll there, right? Yeah. The benefit that they had is they had redundancy at the position and another player that you really like. So I think they have quality players, Colson Montgomery, seeing him in year 2, Chase Mydroth, Carroll, obviously, and then they have players knocking on the door, this year that could be in the big leagues by the end of the season. And then future Chicago White Sox shortstop Rock Chalowski, playing in LA right now. He's been tearing it up, and I know they haven't made the decision, but that's the dude. Let's not play around.
Sox fans know that too. I cannot wait to go to the rate on the south side to see Chalowski jerseys. I'm sure they're already been made.
Get ready for Rocktober hoodie.
It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. These Sox friends of mine in the cities, I've never seen so many Sox fans getting Big Ten Plus just to see Rock Chalowski. I was like, what do you all do? It's like, Rock Chalowski sounds like a Chicago White Sox player. This is going to be great. I'm like,
there's nothing more Chicago than a dude named Rock Chalowski.
Yeah.
Playing shortstop for Chicago White Sox. Mayor Daley is somewhere smiling. This is his guy. This sounds like he probably has family in Bridgeport. This is exactly what you need. But he's a phenomenal player. And when you're building like the White Sox are having to build, you need a blue chipper like that to kind of bring the whole thing together. And I know you're like, oh, well, if you draft Chalowski, where does Colson Montgomery play? Just get all the good players you can, and then you figure it out after, right? Whether that means Colson moves over to third base, whether that means, Chalowski plays second base, you just never know. Maybe a guy becomes an outfielder, what have you. Get all the good players you can, and then you figure it out later.
So I tell Cub fans, I say, look, you should win 90-plus ball games. Bregman is a fantastic pickup for Jed Hoyer and the Cubs. But what I said is, first you got to get past Milwaukee. And of course, the Cubs are a better team on paper than Milwaukee, but Milwaukee, they just are so fundamentally sound, Russ. Like they do the little things for Pat Murphy. Yeah, the Cubs are a better team, but the Cubs have to prove it first, and then they could just cakewalk their way through the National League Central. But that's the matchup to see how the Cubs and Brewers match up. And then for the Cubs, try your luck in the playoffs because they are as good a team as anyone in the National League. That's not named the Dodgers.
Yeah, and look, I think we saw last year how that NLDS ended with the Cubs being beaten by the Milwaukee Brewers in Milwaukee, and you heard and you saw how their starting pitching kind of let them down, and that was a big thing for them this offseason. And you acquire a guy like Edward Cabrera and you bring him in. You could see where the separation was, and then you go and add a guy like an Alex Bregman to that mix. The Cubs should be the winner of the NL Central, and they should have been the winner of the NL Central last year. But the Milwaukee Brewers, and you're right, and they play like the National League Tampa Bay Rays, right? And it makes sense because Matt Arnold comes from that system down there in Tampa, and that's what they've tried to do. And then you have guys where you develop like Jackson Churio and Jacob Mizorowski. They are going to be a problem, right? Like I understand people, you look at the roster and you're like, I don't know how this team wins. And then last year we thought the same thing, and they rattled off 17 wins in a row, 15 wins in a row, something like that, and got the Cubs out of there early. So I always expect the Milwaukee Brewers to put up a fight, and the Cubs should too.
Lastly, and I appreciate your time, from your time in spring training, talking to people, is there a sleeper team you're looking forward to seeing this year? Some team that no one's talking about? Because I keep hearing whispers of Pittsburgh, and I'm like, we are family? Are they playing Sister Sledge in Pittsburgh? Are they doing that?
They're not playing unless Pop Stars will coming out. Like, I don't know. Unless Pop Stars will coming out. Like, I don't know. I will say the thing with the Pittsburgh Pirates, I also like some of their moves. Like you bring in a guy like Brian O'Hearn that is a professional hitter, gets on base. They are as loaded in their farm system as any team with what they have at the big league level now. Obviously, Skeens is 1A best pitcher in the world. I'm still taking Skubal just because I haven't gotten to see Skeens do it in the postseason yet. I have with Skubal. But you have a guy in Connor Griffin that's the best prospect in all of Major League Baseball. He's going to be in the big. They didn't make the opening day roster. He's going to be in the big leagues. I'm going to say, let's call it 7 weeks to be conservative. Right, 7 weeks. He's going to be the shortstop every day. They still have Yun Stinson Garcia that they got from the Boston Red Sox in a trade this offseason. He's a solid prospect. O'Neal Cruz, we've been waiting for the tools to play for a while, and I think this is the year. Like you got to see it from O'Neal Cruz. But the pitching is what's going to get them there, right? The pitching is what's going to get the Pittsburgh Pirates to being that team that maybe is knocking on the door of a wild card spot. And they brought in Brandon Lau from the Tampa Bay Rays. That's going to be some big time power from the left side. And at that ballpark where you have the short wall, the Clemente wall in right field, that might be something that benefits them greatly. So I can understand why people say that about Pittsburgh. That's going to be tough. I think the team that you forget about a little bit that we thought was going to be in this playoff window, the Baltimore Orioles, because I look at them and they have been a team I've been mad at for a long time because I'm like, this was your window, and they just never did the thing to get them over the top in terms of going out and adding that big time starting pitcher. But I love the move to go grab a guy like Pete Alonso. I think he's going to be great for that lineup. Leader in the room, but also big time power from the right side. I think Gunnar Henderson, who had a quote unquote down year, is one of the best 15 players in all of Major League Baseball. You have Samuel Basayo, a young catcher behind the plate. You still have Adley Rutschman, who has been bitten by injury for the last couple of years. But when he's healthy, he's shown he's one of the best catchers in all of Major League Baseball. What are you going to get out of Jackson Holiday when he comes back from his hamate bone injury? So they have talent there. And I understand it's going to be tough in that division because I still think Toronto's the team to beat. You have the Yankees, the Red Sox are right there, but they're going to cause some problems for people. Like that's not just some walk in the park, and they've disappointed the last couple of years. And I think some of those young players realize, hey, it's not promised to us just because we're in our quote unquote window.
There it is, the relay with Russ Dorsey. Available now. We'll have the link in our bio so that way you can click on it. Make sure you subscribe to Russ Dorsey, because with the relay, you just never know where that ball's going, because it's Russ Dorsey after all. He's the one with the arm. So who knows where it's going to go.
Yeah, the ball might hit the popcorn, man, in the 10th row. You just never know with me, man.
You just never know. That's why you guys subscribe to find out what information is going to be there. He might go on a tangent. He might just talk about albums. Who knows?
I might. That's a high probability. Like just because it's just me, Hoodie. Like, it's not like everybody else and we got to get the stuff. No, it's like, you know what? I was thinking about this, y'all. Let me know what you think. Relay with Russ@gmail.com if you want to send me an email about it.
It could be anything. That's why I'm looking forward to seeing this. That's why. Who knows? There's no one counting him down in his ear at Apple, so he can say whatever that's on his mind. That's why you got to subscribe to the podcast.
Please do.
Russ, as always, man, I appreciate it. I hope to get a chance to talk to you again as we are cranking up with this baseball season. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Thanks, Hoodie. I appreciate the time.
Great conversation with Russ Dorsey right here on Under the Hood with John the Hood, presented by The Advantage. Oh, The Advantage is just the best, isn't it? Why does buying a car feel like Game 7 in overtime? It shouldn't. That's why I roll with Advantage Dealer Group. Think about it. Toyota and Chevy and Acura and Cadillac and Buick and GMC. Whatever you're driving, they got options. And here's the key. They don't play games. So check them out, Advantage Dealer Group. I use Advantage Dealer Group, and you should as well. Put it in that search bar, Advantage Dealer Group. There is an advantage near you. So get out of that beater. Get out of that bad car that you're in right now and get something fresh from the Advantage Dealer Group. So great to talk baseball. Don't forget, we still have more on the NCAA tournament and so much more on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment to everything we do on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. And oh, by the way, the merchandise. I haven't talked about that lately. Have you had your hoodie? Some places in the Midwest are still a little chilly, so you need that Under the Hood hoodie. The same thing with a T-shirt. We've got that. We've got beanie hats as well. That's in the description of the bio. Check out our merchandise that's available right now on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Check out the merchandise, and boom, you're right there. Just support the podcast that you are watching, that you consume, that you love, that you hate. It's Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for being with us, and we'll talk to you soon. So long, everybody.